Everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on this pendant, and this pendant uses some of the beads from Eureka Crystal Beads Honey Meadow collection. So let's take a look at it. You could have these beads in your stash if you don't have the collection. I don't know if it's sold out yet. I'll check. If it isn't, I'll put a link in the description box below the video for you. I will also list all the beads individually. So here's the front of the pendant, and here's the back. So I did add this bugle bead on because I wanted some structure on the back, and I think we could work with this and make this the front as well. So that could be interesting to do in the future. So here it is. We've got this beautiful rivoli. We've got these pretty purple beads there. We've got some pink, very pretty. So I'm going to clear this off. We'll get a materials list going, and we'll get started on this pendant. Materials. So you'll need a 14mm rivoli. It's pretty. You need some 3mm and 2mm round druck beads. So I have those here. And then I've got an 8/0 here. Now these are all in the collection. I've got this wave bead right here, 2-hole bead. I've got some delicas. We're only going to use like a couple of a few delicas, one round of delicas. And I've got two 15/0s. Now the fun thing about this pendant is that the bezel is going to be all 11/0s. We're not using, the only time we're using delicas is just as a little bit of a decoration, but the actual bezel is all 11/0s. And that's kind of fun because we don't do that very often. All right, what else do we need? We need an 11/0 seed bead. This is in the collection. This is not. This is a big bugle bead. It's a I think it's a 6mm bugle bead. This is from Eureka Crystal Beads. It's probably from one of their previous collections. So you'll probably have that in your stash. I've got some 4-pound Fireline. I have it in black satin. I've got a size 11 beading needle, and I have a stop bead. All right, there you go. That's everything. So let's clear this off, and we'll get started. Changed my mat to a darker gray because I thought it might be easier with the light beads. We can always change it back if we need to. So I cut about 6 feet of thread. So I threaded my needle with about 6 feet of thread, put on a stop bead around the middle. Stop bead, 36 of my 11/0 seed beads. And I'm going to sew these into a circle by sewing through the first bead after my stop bead, like that. And then I'm going to go I'm just going to reinforce by going around again, but I'm going to keep it, the tension not too tight. Just right. Okay, so I'm reinforced all the way around, and of course you're exiting an 11/0. Now you don't want these buckled or anything, you just want them next to each other. Now just a note for as we're making this, it's going to seem big, but it's not. You'll see, it will all come together. Because we're using 11/0s and not delicas, it kind of changes it a little bit. So just, trust the process. So pick up your 11/0. Exiting an 11/0, I'm going to skip one and sew through the next one. And you want that bead sit right on top of that previous bead right there. And you want this, I think you want to make sure at all times that is sitting on top there. And the first few are a pain, and you might have to kind of really play with them a little bit. So there we go. All right. So after I get a few on, it will be much easier. All right, so I'm picking up an 11/0, exiting here, skip one, sew through the next one. I'm going to hold my thumb on it until it gets into place. Then I'm just going to give it a little pull over, push over so it sits up there. Now, of course, because they're round, they're not going to sit, like if it's a delica, that they kind of clump, fit together, but these are rounded on the edges, so they're a little slippery. They're going to want to move around a little bit. We'll just keep an eye on that. Exiting here, picking up an 11/0, skipping this one, sewing through the next one. And just take your time, like that. So this is what it looks like so far. So you're going to do that all the way around, just like we would if we were using delicas. I'm going to just make sure that they're stacked properly. Okay, so I'll meet you at the end, and we'll step up. Let's add our last bead on and step up. So I'm exiting here, picking up my 11/0, skipping this one. I'm going to sew through this one, and then the one on the diagonal right there. Going to place that bead on. Now we're stepped up, and we can put some more beads on it. Let's add some 15-0. So I'm picking up the sort of that goldish, greenish color. Well, you pick up that one in your collection. I'm using a different color, slightly different, only because I used the ones from the collection in another project. So I don't have enough of them left to finish this project. But so just use your 15-0s or whatever color you like, and come all the way around, adding a 15-0 in between each sticking out 11-0. And you can pull it in a little bit as you go. So keep doing that all the way around, and we'll step up. I'm going to step up now. So I put it on my finger, I gave it a little pull. See, that's what it's looking like. Come on, clear up. I think it might be too close. All right, last bead. So 15-0, exiting here. I'm going to sew through this bead, so the 11-0 and then the 15-0 on the diagonal, and I give that a pull. This is what it looks like. It's like bumpy, but it's really pretty and really easy to work with when you're doing it. So I'm all stepped up and I'm ready to put another round on. So I'm just going to give it a little pull, and then so I'm exiting my 15-0. I just put on my last bead and stepped up. So exiting the 15-0, I'm going to pick up a 15-0. So I'm going to put another round of 15-0s on, and I'm going to sew through the next sticking out bead, which is the 15-0. Now it's a little bit harder to tell when you're using just the round seed beads instead of adding the 15-0 to a delica. It's a little bit harder to see it sticking out, but it's the 15-0. So you're just going to keep adding 15-0s on like that, and you pull in a little bit as you go. So you're just going to do that all the way around. Time to step up. So picking up a 15-0, exiting a 15-0, I'm going to sew through this 15-0 and then the one on the diagonal. So just like that. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but there it is. This is what you have so far. So it looks like. Okay, this is what we have so far. I'm going to turn my piece over. I'm going to leave that other thread. We'll probably put another round on in a minute. So I've taken off my stopping and threaded my needle. Now I'm going to pop my stone in. I'm just going to lay it in there. And it doesn't look like it's going to fit, but it does. Now you're going to do the same thing here. You're just going to add your 15-0s all around through each sticking out bead. So it's hard to tell. I'll show you sideways, but then I'll show you the face when we're looking at it like head on. So here we're exiting here. This is the next sticking out bead because you see it's slightly higher than this one. Just a little bit harder to tell when you're doing it with 11-0s. So I'm just going to pop that over like so, and everything's going to fall apart. So when you're holding it like this, you can't see it on camera, but you will see how this is the next sticking out bead, this is the next, this is the next. You'll be able to tell. It's just you can't see with the perspective holding it on camera, but you will definitely know which one is recessed and which one is sticking out. So picking up a 15-0, sewing through the next one. You can pull them over a little bit. See, I can see that little bump sticking up there, and you will too as you're doing it. And it looks like it's just not going to fit and that it's going to be too big, but I promise you it will fit beautifully. So you see, as if I hold it from the side, you can see them. You see what it looks like. So just keep doing that all the way around. Picking up a 15-0, sewing through the next sticking out bead. There's that 11-0. And, right now, see, it looks like it doesn't fit. But anyway, just keep going all the way around and we'll step up. Then we'll put another round on. We're going to step up. So notice see how it's coming together, and one more round will pull it all together. So here, my last 15-0, exiting here, I'm going to sew through this 11-0, and then that 15-0 on the diagonal. I'm going to pull it down just like so, and then I'm going to add on another round of 15-0s. Add your 15-0, so exiting here, picking up a 15-0, sewing through the next 15-0, and with these you want to pull them in. 15-0 through the next one, pulling in just like that. So you're just going to do that all the way around. Okay, one more 15-0. I'm going to step up, exiting here. We're going to sew through this 15-0 and then the one on the diagonal, like that. So this is what I have so far. Okay, let's add some beads on the back. So I'm exiting a 15-0. I'm going to pick up a 15-0 and I'm going to sew through the next sticking out 15-0. Then I'm going to sew through this bead, and then this one. I'm going to pick up a 15-0. I'm going to sew through the next 15-0. So I'm kind of skipping a little bit here. Sitting here, sew through this one, this one. Pick up a 15-0 and sew through this one. So you're just going to repeat that all the way around. So one more time. Sew through this one. And this one. Pick up a 15-0. Sew through the next one. Pull in. That's what you want to do all the way around. Coming down to the end, last 15-0, right through here, like that, and then you can just move your thread through this guy for now. And so here, this side is done. I'm going to add one more round of 15-0s. I'm going to switch to this blue color. So exiting right here, I'm just going to sew through the next sticking out bead, and I'm going to add that 15-0 on all the way around. Let's add our last 15-0. So I've come all the way around, exiting here, I'm going to sew through this one, and then the one on the diagonal, and then a little pull in, so just like that, and now the front is done. I'm just going to move my thread, so exiting that blue bead right there, I'm going to just sew through this 15-0, this 15-0, this 11-0 right here, and then this 11-0. So you'll be exiting an 11-0 right here, so not this for this round, so one above, right? So just like that. Doesn't matter which one, as long as it's on that same line. So right there. Okay, so we have our front and back done. At the moment, we might add more, you never know. So that's why I'm leaving the back thread. So you'll be exiting one of these 11-0s on the edge here, but not this one, the second one in. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We're working with the 2, with the one inside there. So we're exiting there. We're going to pick up one of the wave beads, a 3mm round bead, and one of the wave beads. Now, see how I'm situated them? The concave side is right here and here. So it goes in here and in here, out here. So that's how you always want to pick them up. So just like that. And they're a little aggravating to pick up like that, and I keep messing it up, but you know, you don't have to put that many on, and then you're done. Okay, so you have those 3. So we're exiting right here. I'm going to count 2 over. 1, 2. I'm going to go through this one. So we're working over 1, 2, and 3. See that? 1, 2, and 3. Still staying in line. And I'm going to pull. And this is what it looks like. Advance my needle through this one. Just want to get to my next one. And then this one, just like so. And then we're going to do that again. For my 3 beads, I'm exiting right here. I'm going to skip this one and sew through the next one. So this one, and this one, right? Those are the ones we're working over. I'm going to put that on. It's going to drop it to position like so. So you're going to do that. I think you have it 6 times. So I'll do one more together. We're exiting this bead here. We're just going to move over by sewing through this one. And then this one. Just like that. There are 3 beads. Exiting here. I'm going to skip this one and sew through this one. Let's go put our next group on. So you got it. I'm going to do that till you all the way around. So you'll have 6 of your little units on. Okay, last group of 3 beads. Exiting here, skipping this one. I'm going to sew through this one. That should fit perfectly in there. So this is what we have so far. Okay, now we're going to add some delicas all the way around. So I'm picking up a delica. Now pick the pink one from, if you have the collection. I'm using a very similar color, but more opaque, just because I thought it would be easier to see, for you to see what I'm doing. So I'm exiting here, picking up my delica. I'm going to sew through this one. Picking up a delica. Exiting here, sewing through the next one, picking up a delica, exiting here, sewing through the next 11-0. We're going to do that all the way around. My last delica, going through here. I'm going to advance my needle through this bead, through this one. I'm just working my way over. So I'm just going through some of these beads here. This one. I want to get to this delica that's coming up. This one. And I'll go through this one. Wherever you get there is fine. As long as you get there and you don't have any thread showing. This one. And then this one. I could have gone just through the delicas and the 11-0s, but whichever. So you just want to make sure you're exiting in between these 2 delica, this delica, so you have this one here, and then your 2 wave beads are here. So we're exiting this delica, so we're going to work over these 2, and here, this, see how where I am by the wave beads here. So I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a 2mm, and a 15-0. I'm going to skip that 15-0 and I'm going to sew back through the 2. The 2mm. I'm just going to try and hold that so that the thread goes through. Like so. We'll tighten it up in a second. So this is what I have so far. I'm going to pick up a 15-0. And I'm going to sew through the next delica. And when I give that a little pull, straighten that out a little bit. We're going to work on these further, so don't worry about it. That's what it looks like. So just like that. And, you know, I've already done quite a few, but because I messed up a clip, so I had to just continue here. So that's what you're going to do. So we're exiting that delica. Now you want to get in there and get through that 11-0. I know that's going to be tough, but I think you can do it. Let's get your needle angled in a good way. There you go. You just have it's just the angle, and then through this delica, And then you want to do that again through the next 11-0. And that was much easier. And the next delica. Now I'm thinking that if you didn't want to dig and go through these 11-0s, you could probably put something in between the delicas, maybe an 11-0 or a 15-0. I don't think that will affect the design. Let me just check out this design a little bit, and we'll check that further, so that way you don't have to dig it if you don't want to. Do that again, exiting the delica, picking up a 15-0, the 2mm round bead and a 15-0. I'm going to skip the 15-0 and sew through the 2mm. Leave that all pull down. I'm going to pick up a 15-0. And I'm going to sew through this delica like that. Straighten that out a little bit. And this is what you're going to do all the way around. So now I'm done because I've already done a few of them. But so that's how you're finished, just like this. And then we'll continue. So we had a thread exiting one of the delicas. I've just sewed that thread in because it was getting soft and I think it's getting too short. And I think we'll start with a new thread to do our embellishment. So go ahead and sew that thread in, sew around your beads, wherever you can get through. And then meet me back here and we'll start the outside embellishment. Let's start the outside embellishment. So I've threaded my needle with about 3 feet of thread, but on a stop bead left a tail to sew in. I'm going to sew through one of the top holes of the wave beads, the 15-0 in between, and the next one. So just like that. I'm going to pick up 3 15-0s. I'm going to sew through the 3mm, 3 15-0s. I'm going to sew through the wave, the 15-0, and the other wave bead, like that. Got it. I'm going to repeat this, 3 15-0s through the 3mm, 3 15-0s through the wave, the 15-0 in the wave. Just going to do that all the way around. Okay, last little bit here, so 3 15-0s through the 3mm, 3 15-0s through the wave, the 15-0, and the wave. That's going to complete the round. So that's what it looks like. Okay, so I'm exiting this wave bead. Now I'm going to add a little more embellishment. So I'm going to sew through the 3 15-0s, the 3mm, and the 3 15-0s, the next 3 15-0s, like so. I'm going to pick up a 15-0, an 8-0, and a 15-0. And I'm going to sew down these 3 on this side through the 3mm, and through the next 3 15-0s. Do that again. 15-0, 8-0, 15-0 through these 3, and if you can get it, you can pop right through that 3mm, and then up these 3 15-0s. Got it. Like that. Do it one more time. 15-0, 8-0, 15-0 through the next 3 15-0s and on through the 3mm and the 3 15-0s. Give it a little pull and just do that all the way around. Last 15-0, 8-0, 15-0, exiting here. Sew through these 3 15-0s. I'm going to go through the 3mm round bead, and I'm going to go through the next group of 15 O's, so we have 4 here, and through the 8O. This is what it looks like so far. So you're exiting this 8O. Now you can reinforce everything you put on if you like. If not, just turn it around. Exiting that 8O, I'm going to pick up a bugle bead, and I'm going to look at this bead here, and I'm going to just follow it down to this little 15O that's sort of right under it. See that from here to here? I'm going to put that on. Then I'm going to pick up a bugle bead, and I'm going to sew through the next 8O. Like that. Do that again. Pick up a bugle bead. Exiting here, I'm going to look for this green bead, and I'm going to go through that little 15O that's right there. So see from here to here. And then I'm going to pick up a bugle bead, and I'm going to sew through the next 8O. Just push that over. Okay, and you're just going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, last bugle bead. Through the 8O. A little press. And this is what I have so far. One last round before we do the bail. Exiting the 8O, I'm going to sew down the bugle. I'm going to pick up a 15O, doesn't matter which color, and I'm going to sew up through the next bugle bead, like so. Just going to place that in between them right there. I'm going to sew through the 8O, down the next bugle bead, 15O, up the bugle, across the 8O. You got it. Just going to continue that. Once you've got all your little 15Os on, feel free to come around and reinforce everything. And at first I didn't do it, didn't reinforce, but now that I have started to reinforce, it really kind of secures everything really nicely. So I would suggest you go ahead and do it like that. And then you want to go ahead and either sew your thread in, or if you have a long thread, you can attach your bail right away. We'll be attaching the bail through one of these 8Os. I'm just going to add a thread. I'm going to finish reinforcing, then I'm going to add a thread. But go ahead and finish that and come back and put it on. Let's add this little herringbone bail. So you'll be exiting one of your 8Os, that pink 8O. Pick up 4 11Os, sew through the other side of that 8O, like that. I'm going to sew up through these 2. I'm going to pick up 2 11Os. I'm going to sew down through these 2. And just bear with me. I know I'm kind of straying from herringbone at the moment. I just want to make the bottom nice and secure. So I've come down these 2. I'm going to pick up 1 11O. I'm going to sew back through the 8O. Take 1 11O. Exiting here. I'm just going to sew up through all these guys. And all that did really was, it just, just made it a little wider at the bottom. And then I'm just going to continue with my herringbone. So down, picking up 2, go down, 1, and then up 2 on the other side. Like so. Okay, so you're just going to do that again. Down, pick up 2, down 1, up 2, like that. And you're going to do that. I think I had about 13 herringbone stitches on. So I have a number of herringbone stitches on. I think I did 13 or 14. Now I'm going to pick up one of the 2 millimeters, and we're going to attach on the front actually. So I'm going to pick up a 2 millimeter and an 11O. I'm going to sew through this wave bead the 15-0 and the next wave bead, like that. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0 and another 2 millimeter, and I'm going to go up this way, like that, and that's going to attach my herringbone bail on. And all you're going to do at this point is just sew around. You can sew around all the way around, across, and then come through again, and then just you know, you can find maybe do a little half hitch knot and sew your thread in, and then we'll be done with the bail.